Jeremy, do you know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile?
No, what?
One you will see later, and the other one you'll see in a while.
Done. Okay, good enough. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to Untitled Car Project, show 58.
Hey,
I'm Rob Spring.
I'm Grant Gonzalez.
Jeremy Bolt.
Today on the show, we're going to have Hondo Miller from LaidBack Apparel.
Woo!
We'll give him a call in just a minute. In the meantime, don't forget to hit follow on the podcast, as well as our social medias like Facebook and Instagram. Give us a shout on our email, untitledcarproject@gmail.com. And in case you missed it, I did put up a post that we are selling some merch now.
Yeah.
Sweatshirts and t-shirts. Sweatshirts are $35 shipped. T-shirts are $25 shipped. We're not making any money on this shit, guys, so
We're just trying to get our names out there.
just trying to get a little stuff out there. So send me a message on Messenger on Facebook there, and
Or on Gmail.
we'll connect, or Gmail, whatever.
Call
and
Grant directly.
we'll get the Venmo going.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you out a sweatshirt or something. I'll post again.
Yeah.
Throw them up online so we can
Okay.
point it to those. Today we're going to talk about project cars with Hondo, what he does for his racing, and all about his brand, LaidBack Apparel.
I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So I will give him a call. You guys shoot the crap for a minute.
So,
And
Jeremy, you
The
think
shirt made a
Ferrari
lot
would be
more
good for
sense.
my cat? Or what kind of...
Get out of here.
Uh,
You Ferrari.
What? That's a great car.
No.
No?
Okay, it was out of the three.
You'd rather
It
go
was
with a
definitely
Cadillac.
the best one.
Yeah.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
I like the Ferrari.
My Cadillac got the bass in the back. Oh yeah.
We are on time, yeah? He's an hour ahead. Oh, we might be striking out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll fill up.
I should have messaged him first.
Hey buddy.
Yeah. Little trimming to be
Hi,
done.
voicemail for Hondo Miller. I can't take your call right now.
He cannot take our call.
Just shoot a message because maybe it's
Yeah.
less. Yeah.
I got you.
So in the meantime, I wanted to say to our listeners, we did receive some new comments. So I was pretty excited about
I
that
saw
one.
that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Are you talking about the spam comments, or
No, we got
One of them definitely looked like it was not
there was
from
three
this
of
country.
them. There was three of them that were spam. They were like,
Think so?
yeah, for sure. The ones on YouTube.
Oh, I'm talking. No, I'm not talking about the YouTube ones.
I am.
I'm talking about the ones from Spotify and from Apple that we recently got.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice hearing back from our listeners. We do check those things, guys. We do appreciate you,
Well, Grant does.
Jeremy.
I wouldn't know how to look at it.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm not the media guy though.
Oh,
In
that's
my
true.
defense.
So, well, before we get Hondo on here, how about we, as a person who doesn't know much about Blazers and the C, I know much about, starting to know about the C10 trucks because of our good friend Chad.
The
Can we
chat.
talk about for our listeners about what makes a K5 Blazer a K5 before Hondo gets here? So that way, like, our listeners have an idea of what it looks like,
Well,
where
the
it is.
the C and the K was basically a year range.
I actually no. It was actually the C was designation for two-wheel drive.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, and the K was the four-wheel drive. But they made an exception. I looked this up because I was thinking the same thing. It's like K5. It's not. It's a half-ton chassis. It's a 1500. But why did they do that? And I don't know. They just thought it sounded better, so they went with the K designation instead of
The C.
the C on the two-wheel drive versions.
Okay.
It makes sense on the four-wheel drive version. It's still a K.
Okay.
Right.
But why a K5, not a K15, or this, that, or the other? You know.
And for our listeners, this is
Here we go. Hondo, how you doing?
I think he's not connected.
Nope. Let me.
Let's Bluetooth you in.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Now we got you. Now we got you.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, Hondo. I'm here with my co-hosts Jeremy and Grant.
Hello, I'm Grant.
Welcome. Welcome.
Hi, Grant.
So,
Or
hopefully,
Jeremy, both?
yeah, both guys. Hopefully, I got you at a good time.
Yeah, everything's great.
Excellent, great. We're happy to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. So, I mean, we got quite a bit of stuff to talk about. I kind of want to start. You and I met at LS Fest West this year.
Right.
Had a great time down there. I loved watching you run with your Blazer and that stuff. Let's start with your Blazer and where that truck came from and how far it's come from the start.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's 1970 Chevy Blazer that I found at a trailer park in Anaconda, Montana. I had a good buddy up there that ran a salvage yard and just kind of a sidekick for him. And he was an oil rig or an iron worker, I should say. But he had this little side gig, so he'd always come across amazing cars. And he was a guy that loved the 50s and 60s stuff. And I was more late 60s, early 70s stuff. So I told him, hey, if you ever see Blazers for sale, let me know. And this was 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Ended up buying quite a few Blazers from him or through him or from that part of the world. And found this one, and it was sitting in a trailer park with a bunch of crap piled on it, in it. And both quarters were hammered pretty good. And I got it for $1,500.
Oh, love that.
Right, it was yellow.
Did it have a motor and transmission with it too, or?
Yeah, it had everything. The guy basically parked it there like 22 years ago, and
wow.
And it just, you start using it as your storage.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of how it's at. And the Blazer, it was so, I don't know, people didn't care about them, it didn't matter. It wasn't important.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that was an original two-wheel drive Blazer, yeah?
It was not. It was a four-wheel drive.
Okay, converted then.
And that was the original plan, was just, hey, I just want to, I live in a small mountain town in Idaho and rivers. I want to be able to just cruise the valley. So that was kind of the original plan was, hey, let's just restore a nice, fun Blazer sitting up on maybe a 4-inch lift and 35s. And then I came home from one of my trips, and Jesse, my builder, had the car sitting on the ground basically with tires and wheels all tucked up underneath of it. Yeah, he's like, what do you think of that look? And I'm like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
My mom had like 3 Blazers growing up in the 80s, so I was a fan of them, but I'd never been in one, never even dreamed of one sitting like that. And then he told me, he's like, Speed Tech Performance down in St. George, Utah, they built a C10 chassis. And he's like, why don't we reach out to them and see if they'll build us a Blazer chassis? And that was kind of the beginning of it. And
cool.
They jumped on it, and we had a chassis probably in like 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So was yours the first one of that type then? Yeah,
first and only one at the moment. I guess no one else has gone down that path, but it's what it's done to that vehicle is pretty amazing.
I can't imagine it would be too far off from a C10 chassis.
9 inches shorter.
Is that right?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surprising, huh?
That is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things you're looking at them next to each other, like, no way. But you look at a Blazer and you look at, the wheelbase on it. It's 104 right there. And you go out and you ask the world, like, what else is 104? And it's like a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Chevrolet Cabriolet.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, and the C10's 115
Cavalier,
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, Corvette.
Yep.
Corvettes are right there within less than a half inch off.
Is that the C4? Because I think the C5 and 6 are a bit longer.
We're actually doing a body swap right now. We've got a first-gen Blazer going on a C5 Z06.
Oh, wow.
And it's been a track car that we've had. And we were going to build a 2.0 Blazer. And, we originally thought we'd go down the Speed Tech path. We haven't really told them that we're not going to go down that path.
Yeah.
We own this amazing it's not even a Z06 anymore. 2013, a guy down at Spring Mountain basically dumped a ton of money and just built it into this amazing beast. And so we're just gonna do a body swap on that. Really, it's gonna be us at the Laid Back Garage here in Idaho, and then Frankie down at P2 Fabrication down in Long Beach. He's our, we do all the heavy lifting, and then he does all the let's make it amazing.
Is the goal for this current build, is that to be like the next autocross monster of a car, or what's kind of your overall goal with this one?
It is. We look at, I don't know, I've been a car guy my whole life, but 2010 we launched our brand, which put us into the car show world, and that was amazing. And we did like call it a 10-year run doing a lot of that, and then we looked at life and got on a track and realized, wow, driving them, I'd watch autocross and I'd be like, what are those guys doing? That doesn't look fun.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't look challenging. It doesn't look whatever.
I tell you, get behind the wheel.
Yeah. And then you take your hot rod that you think is, because it's got a big motor in it, and maybe you put disc brakes on it, and you take that and drive it. Because we do the Hot Rod Power Tour. We did it for like 10 years in a row, and that's a big just car show culture, and with a little bit of autocross. But autocross has come a long way. But what I've learned is just the driving aspect. So when you look at this new Blazer, like my goal is to build something a little more track specific. When we built the Born Again Blazer, we unveiled it at SEMA 2019. 19. And it was a top 10 truck. It was a street truck.
Yeah.
And then we thought, we'll go do Optima because it sounds fun. It sounds like a good time to be able to go run around a track. And then we got into that and realized, okay, you have no idea what you're doing driving wise. But when you grow up, or you live in the mountains of Idaho and you drive on the snow 6 months out of the year, you learn how to drive when your vehicle's not planted.
When it's not going straight.
So really I was just having fun, not even realizing like, hey, you're actually somewhat competitive if you can figure out how to quit the tire or keep the tires from spinning, and keep the front end from pushing. And that's when I met Frankie from P2 Fabrication. I met him at LS Fest, and randomly met Thayer, who has become a good buddy. He was right behind me getting ready to do Track X, and he was running just a builder truck on 35 running around out there. But I was like, this dude's crazy. And then we just became good friends. He introduced me to Frankie, and Frankie's like, let me just tell you, you need more spring rate, you need bigger brakes, you need bigger master cylinder, and let's get rid of your TR6060. Let's put in a BMW paddle shift that'll handle the power. Let's put a supercharger. We'd put a Whipple 3-liter on it. And it took the vehicle just to
next
crazy
level. Crazy level.
And it's a 5,000-pound vehicle because we built it as a street truck. Kicker Audio, they've been a sponsor of our program for like 10 years or whatever, and so it's loaded up with 2 amps, 2 subs, 8 speakers, and enough hush mat to way more than a kid. So it's like, we tried to build that, but now it's like, wow, when you show up at like Racing Birds down in Vegas, we do their little autocross series, which is awesome. You're doing these massive autocross course runs, and you're getting like 12 of them a day. So but you show up and you're running against, guys like David Carroll and his Blazer, or the TCI crew, George Reese and Sabotage, if you know that truck, and TCI, those guys show up just, it's funny, like the first time I was there, I actually was lucky enough to win, and I felt like the Karate Kid, because they're sitting there with like PCI over there, and they got all their 4 or 5 guys, and Jason even kind of looks like, the main character there, and it's kind of funny. Like it was, and we're just like, we're just we do it out of fun.
Yeah.
But now that we realize, wow, this is not only fun, but it's a lot more fun when you can do it in control.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
you can lay down times that are respectable, and then it's kind of like going to the golf course. You swing one time and you're like, I can do this, and that just keeps you coming back.
Yep. For sure.
So I got to ask, because you're definitely having fun on the track, and you had the audio system. I got to know, were you playing music anytime you were on the track?
I typically, my first 3 years of driving, I was cranking it.
Yes, so much yes.
It was always just loaded up. And then,
There's a button there, though.
yeah, well, the problem is once I'm strapped in, I literally have to use my foot to turn the steering wheel or turn the volume down on the audio setup.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, but, I've been blessed to hang out with people like Scott Frazier. I don't know if you know who Scott Frazier is, but he's like, many time national champion motocross, winning good guys. Like he's just badass. Or Frankie, these guys are super competitive, and they're mechanics and drivers. And so they bring a different level of thinking where, I've never been the type of person that really thinks about things. I just go do it. And it's hard for me to kind of back it down a little bit and try to think more, It's like when you're a kid swinging a baseball bat, they always say, look at the ball, but you never actually ever thought about it enough to watch the ball hit the bat, and then once you figure that out, I think you can elevate your game. And that's kind of where we're at. Like the whole, I played like soccer my whole life through college. So I always did this competitive stuff. And then I raced mountain bikes, and I was always like, someday I'm going to be doing Baja. And then like 7 years ago, I had back surgery, which kind of said, well, there's no way that's happening. And then, to find autocross and to find opportunities to drive high performance vehicles on tracks or road courses, like, I don't know.
It's
like
pretty
being a kid
incredible.
again.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible for sure.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So what you're saying is you had to turn the music off so you could focus.
Yeah. It's funny, but I'll test it though. I'll go out and I'll be like, all right, you've had like 7 runs and you've hit cones at times and you've been a dipshit, and then I'll turn the music on. And then I'll be like, that was my fastest run.
There you go.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
It's a constant debate with us.
Yeah, I'm one of those drivers who have to have music going. It helps kind of clear my mind, as well as I am the kind of driver who feels like when you're on the track, the best lap feels like a dance, where the song matches the track you're on.
Yeah. Totally.
All right, Hondo gets you.
They're always telling me, like, you got to hear the vehicle. And I'm like, man, my shit's so loud, I can hear it.
That's funny. So from the time that you picked up that vehicle from, disaster, how long did it take to get something built that you were satisfied enough that you could take it out and drive it or compete with it? And what was your first? Was it an event that you went to first, or what was that like?
Yeah, we unveiled it at Optima Las Vegas, March of 2020.
And that was the first unveil. That was like the first time anybody saw it.
Well, we unveiled it at SEMA.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was 2019. SEMA was when we brought it to the world, and
Gotcha.
we didn't even have interior in it or like paint, leading up to it. It was a crazy push. We didn't have a tune on it. We got it in, it was running, but we didn't have a tune on it, and it was definitely not sorted. It took us a while. That was November, so we got it sorted enough to have fun at Optima in 2020. And that was the same weekend that, like, that Monday is like when the world shut down for COVID.
Oh, yes. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from the time we picked that thing up, really, you know, we went to SEMA 2018 because we used to be a vendor there with our brand LaidBack.
Yeah.
And came home from that, you know, and every year we'd have a different vehicle in our booth that we built or whatever. And we were like, all right, what are we going to do? You know, and what we weren't sure. And, you know, I had some Broncos that I was building at the time and thinking it was going to be one of those. And we jumped on that Blazer about 2 weeks after SEMA and had it done within a year, basically enough to, you know, get it there. But yeah, it was, you know, guys like Ben at Interior Revolution in Boise, world-class interior guy that I think he spent 13 days doing, him and his other guy, 13 days doing the full interior. And if you've seen the interior on it, it's top notch. And the last day, I think there was 26 hours straight.
Wow.
Oh man.
That's dedication.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of my closest friends and just a badass dude, and does, you know, it's fun when you can hang out with people that you really appreciate who they are, and then you can have them as part of your team when you get to do badass shit too, you know?
No doubt.
So I got to ask, you brought up Broncos as well. What was the deciding factor to stick with originally the K5 rather than go with a Bronco?
If you've ever driven the two of them just in kind of a natural state,
okay,
which, you know, I started down the Bronco path because I just found one 69 that was rough, but I drove it home, and you know, it was $5,000. It was 8 miles away, and and then I was just driving it around and feeling it, and then I got a Blazer that I was just driving around and feeling it. And I was like, man, this thing is so different. Like, it's so plush. It just feels different going down the road, the drivability of it, the steering, everything about it. And, you know, I started kind of as a Ford guy. I built a 49 Woody wagon first, and then we did a 68 XL GT, which is a Galaxy vehicle. And that was kind of our jam. And I'd go on the Hot Rod Power Tour, and all these guys like, why are you driving that Ford shit? And I'm like, I love it, dude. It's great, you know?
Hey, somebody's got to love that.
Like, and then I'd sit and we'd break shit because you're doing these, you know, 2,000-mile journeys on something that you just got done with.
Yeah.
And we'd be chasing shit, and we'd be watching all my Chevy guys, and they'd just be sitting over there, like, figuring shit out if they had issues real easy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so easy in the big block 390 world of, you know, it was a little different. But once I kind of started playing in the Chevy world, it's like, man, this stuff's amazing. Everything just works with everything else. And
it makes life easier.
Yeah. Ford didn't realize that until like probably in the 90s and 2000s once they got to the modular blocks and everything. Then everything started to become Lego style.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting too, like the Bronco, right? 66 through 77 made a bunch of them.
Yep.
They came out with the Blazer in 69. They didn't make very many. 70, they like doubled that. And then like by 72, they made more Blazers in like 1972 than all the Bronco years combined.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't know that.
No.
Right?
Wow. I actually like both of them a lot. I've always liked the Broncos, the early 70s to mid 70s Broncos. I love that body style. But I also, I've never owned one of those, but I've owned a Blazer. I think it was a 75 or 7, somewhere in there. And I really loved it.
Full top?
Yeah, full top.
The whole top came off, like over the driver?
No, it was the one behind the driver. So I'm not sure what year that was.
Yeah, so 69 to 72, full convertible.
Top. Yeah.
73 to 75, full convertible on a square body.
Okay.
All right.
And then 76 through whatever, 91 was square body, partial convertible top.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always loved that truck. I would have another one in a heartbeat. But
would you guys also consider, because we got the Blazer, we got the Bronco, would a third good truck comparison be also the Scout?
International, I'd put it up there.
Or are they like, is it a completely different realm?
Yeah.
No, it's the same. It's kind of the same thing, right? I mean,
You could get them in 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. I think they were a little bit more farm-ish.
I was going to say they
Sure.
seem a little more heavy duty to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
maybe
I don't
I'm
think-
wrong.
I don't think they were.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
Okay.
I think a lot of the international vehicles, other than the Scout, were heavier duty. But
Mm.
no, I think that was kind of International's answer to those two vehicles, right?
There's a project for you, Grant. Get an International and put an LS in it.
I actually do want a
Right.
Scout.
Yeah.
But I want an early Scout, like a 60 Scout.
Yeah.
A little bit smaller, and
Yep.
they're built like mail trucks, but I want to build it up more like an off-road
Mm-hmm.
thing.
I don't
Oh,
know,
yeah.
man. You could slam that shit to the ground, put it on airbags.
Yeah, that's true too.
All different directions you can go with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, my buddy just scored like an international truck, 76, and it's got like all this American flag stuff all over it. It's cool as
Nice.
shit.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the K5, your laid back Blazer, right? What do you call it? You have a nickname for it.
The Born Again Blazer.
Boarding It Blazer. Okay. That one is it your main competition car, or do you have others that you tend to rotate through?
It is my favorite,
Yeah.
vehicle to go compete in.
Mhm.
I've been blessed with an amazing wife that supports me being a caraholic or whatever you want to call it.
Lucky guy.
And and I'm in my early 50s, and so we became members down in Vegas, Spring Mountain Motor Resort,
Yeah.
basically. So we are car enthusiasts that have a lot of fun little track cars.
Cool.
Nice.
But
like that.
I run a little S2000. That's a blast.
Yeah.
We had that C5 down there.
First gen or second gen S2000? Is that the high revving one, or is the one that's a little less but more torque?
It's a AP1 body with an
Okay.
AP2 motor.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I have a friend down at Spring Mountain. I bought 2 cars from him now, and wow, this guy knows what he's doing. He's out there all the time, and he sorts his stuff, and then he gets bored with it, So bought that from him, and it's I'm a Japanese car lover.
Yeah.
And that from 99 to 2009 or 2009, that vehicle from a production perspective had more displacement per cubic inch than any vehicle
Yep.
produced.
I don't think it was outpaced until Ferrari came out with the 458
Right.
for power or horsepower per liter.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow. Yeah. Things I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those cars are amazing. Just, when you look at the Miata world, amazing as well. But, when you look at the S2000, it's just a little step up. We have Miatas I have 2 daughters, teenage daughters. So I'm really trying to get them flown with this. And that's my goal with this new race truck is, hey, let's build something that my 18-year-old daughter can go out and come to these events with dad. And
Wow.
she's
That's really
yeah,
cool.
she's in our marketing department here. She I convinced her that college was a scam. She did a year of college, and now she's like, Dad, I don't think I want to go back. And I'm like, yeah, praise you, Jesus.
Yeah. Come to work.
So she's working
Come on
with
in.
me, and
Yeah.
she'll be running a camera and doing a lot of our social and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to get her as a driver. I taught both my girls, like when they were 12, taught them how to drive a stick, and
Yeah.
when
Get
you
'em going
live in
early.
a place, when you live in a place where you can drive on the snow, like driving's fun.
Yeah.
You see all these high school kids running around here, and they're like drifting every corner you can imagine, because of what YouTube shows them, and
Yeah.
they're in their mom's
Yeah.
Yukon or whatever.
None of them.
Because you can.
None of them here know how to drive a manual.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's awful. Anyway, what I was getting at was I was kind of curious how many events a year you do with your Blazer.
I do at least 2 Optimas to try to qualify for the finals.
Okay. Yep.
It's a 2 points or 2 race point system. Basically, they take your top 2 races,
Oh, okay.
and then I do LS Fest, which is the best, right?
Yep.
It's just so much fun.
Had a blast. Yep. Absolutely
Yeah.
loved it.
The East version is just as cool. It's almost even cooler because you can camp in the trees and there's grass, versus
instead of desert.
asphalt.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
the trees? Is it like tree forts there?
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Take your blankets, Grant.
The Racing Bird series.
Yeah.
They ran a series out of California, and then they lost their track basically, so they moved it to Vegas. So they do 4 races there a year. We're actually heading down there not this weekend, but next weekend they're doing a night race. So we'll start at like 7:30 and go till like 2 a.m.
So is that on the road course then?
No, it's if you recall, like where they did the burnouts at LS Fest,
Yep.
kind of that big corner up there.
Mm-hmm.
He'll lay out like a 45-second, third gear course.
Autocross?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Okay. All right.
it's incredible.
How do you
It's
do
incredible.
it at night then? Do you just use the headlights of the car? Do they have like spotlights going through, or how's that done?
If you recall LS Fest, that place is all lit up, right? So we'll just have that whole corner lit up, and
Gotcha. Yeah.
it's going to be a whole different experience. But when you look at a lot of autocross, you show up and you got cones out there and you're like, what am I even looking at? But Rob at Racing Birds, he's been doing this a long time, and I'd say he's the leader in the industry, if you will, of timing companies. But he'll go out there and he'll chalk line like lane, right? It'll make it a whole track, so it's easy to follow, and it's big, and it's I've done 2 of them so far. This will be the 3rd one. I guess I did one last fall. This will be my 3rd one. I've done 3 so far, and they are the most fun. They limit it to 70 cars. They bring you out like 7, 8 groups. So each group comes out, and then you get 3 runs,
Okay.
with like 7 cars in your group. So you're kind of pulling back. You can check your tires real quick, and then you're back on it.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah.
When you think about some events like LS Fest,
Yeah,
you do a run, and
you're
then
waiting an hour.
You wait. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
I think autocross is up and coming for sure. It's exciting.
I think so too. It seems to be getting more popular with all the bigger events. The different,
hosting it.
the different groups that run it. Some people are putting on some really fantastic, fun events, and I think that's helping grow the sport.
I will
FM3.
Yes,
I will say, like when we talked about at the beginning of this episode, where from the outside looking at autocross, it looks slow.
Yeah.
Until you're behind it. You're not realizing you're going, even though it's 45 miles an hour sometimes, like say, you're going in a corner at that.
Right.
And it's a tight corner,
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing, if you can get someone in the sport, is if they're iffy on it, you throw them in the car, and that changes their mind 100%.
Yeah. It doesn't look like much from outside the car. It never does. Or even to explain it to somebody. They're like, okay, racing in a parking lot, that sounds fun. Well, come on.
Right.
Get a ride.
Yeah.
Or, or go drive it.
Yeah.
Good luck, bud.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's, like you said, it's not much to look at from the outside or whatever. But, once you're in the car, different feeling altogether.
Yeah. So
I've been rattling it through my brain. I'm like, tell me one thing that is like it, where on a Saturday you can have 3 generations of dudes, right? A 16-year-old, a 40-year-old, and a 70-year-old out there hanging out, getting adrenaline pumped, getting social with their buddies, and no one's holding each other back.
Yep. No, it's,
what
it's
else
very
is
good.
like that? If you go snow skiing, no.
I think the
right?
closest-
Grandpa's holding somebody back, or the 16-year-old, right?
I think the closest thing to that is a very, very, very competitive Pokemon match.
Why? Why do we bring him here?
I'm gonna mute him. Gosh, how did that happen? How did that slip through?
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It's multi-generational. It's
it definitely is a family atmosphere. Like when we were down at LS Fest, that was my first LS Fest, by the way.
Oh,
And
really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was first
cool.
time there. And
Welcome.
just to look around the paddock and everything, you've got kids and families and people just hanging out and having a great time. And it's all, a center focus of car-related activity, whether you're drifting or drag racing or autocross, whatever, super good time. So,
Right.
really,
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, really enjoy it.
And it's like being, when you went to the arcade as a kid for the first time, right? You're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Or playing, the first time you did a car driving game.
Yeah.
And then when you get to go out and do it, and my first LS Fest 2021, I think I had like 34 starts.
Wow.
In like 3 days, right? Pulling up to something or them and saying go. That's
awesome.
a lot.
That is a lot.
Drag racing, autocross, and or track X, and stop and go. It's like amazing. And I didn't have to look in my rearview mirror and look for a cop once.
Not a single time. I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, for $150, are you kidding me?
I know. Yeah, that's the other thing. I thought LS Fest was really reasonable entry for a 3 days worth of driving events. I paid $170 or something.
That's crazy because most events, something like that, you'd be paying like $300, $400 like just for a track day, for example.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, I love me a track day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
Super reasonable. Yeah. Do you do much either track days or time attack or anything like that?
Just time out at Spring Mountain.
Yeah.
But as I progress as a driver, I definitely have goals to do some other stuff.
Yeah.
I just got a C6 Z06 that is, I'm pretty excited about. I've only driven it one time so far, but I look at that as like, wow, this thing's like under 2,900 pounds and like 650 horsepower, and it's going to be just a little missile, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Are you going to start modifying it like crazy and like up to where Rob's is at, or are you going to try to keep it stock for a while and compete in stock class?
It's not even close to stock.
Yeah.
It's the same guy that I bought the S2000 from. I just reached out and he's like, well, I actually have a car. It's one of my favorites that I'm kind of considering selling. And I was like, wow, you can't even buy like motor and drivetrain for what you're getting a whole car for,
Yeah, you got a good deal then.
Yeah, and it's sorted and it's my color.
What color is it?
Gray.
Nice.
Not red.
And I'm kind of a gray guy these days. It used to be silver, but gray.
Yeah, the Z06 is such a great platform too for performance and everything that's there. Yeah, really like it.
I've said this many times before. I'm a Ford guy, but I will still respect the performance a Corvette will give a person for the bang for buck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's off the shelf. What it has is amazing. And then you look at what you can do, taking it to whatever level you want. You look at Duke Langley, yellow vet. I mean, that guy time and time and time again shows up and crushes everybody.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And he's brought that car a long ways. What is that's a 2002 C5, I think.
Yeah.
And he's done an incredible job with that car. And he's a fantastic driver. Got to give him props for that too.
That's what I was talking to him at Laguna Seca, and I'm like, dude, how do you do it? And he's like, man, let me just tell you, when I was like 19, I showed up, saw this autocross going on, showed up, and I heard they were doing dollar runs. So I brought my Mustang back, and I gave the guy $20. And he's like, I don't have any change. He's like, it's all right. I want 20 runs.
Yeah.
Right? So he goes out and goes into the first corner, pulls the e-brake, slides that thing around, and just thrashes on it the whole way through it. Comes back, gets in line. The guy's like, that's not the fast way around the track. He's like, give it a try again. And he does the same thing, and they kicked him out. And so then he came back like to the next event, and from that point on, and that was like when he was like 19, 20 years old, and he's like early 50s. So
yeah, he's been doing it a while.
And when you look at the knowledge he has and the way he approaches things, he's part of our crew when we go to all these events. And
Yeah.
I love watching him. Him and his kid. He's got, his kid was 15. Now he's graduating. He went down to LSS, Texas, and his son drove, and he almost won it down there.
Oh wow!
But he had some kind of issues and missed some shit. But I mean, I don't know. It's cool to watch people kind of have their kids be a part of something.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. No, he's Cash has definitely been part of his crew, and he's helps with everything, and he gets to drive, and it's paying off. Cash is fast, so it's fun to watch for sure.
And is such a cool kid.
Yeah. Yep, very good. Well, I can't wait to see it. I really enjoy doing the time attack stuff, and I'm going to chase more of that. And really whatever other events, but
yeah, I'm this dude in Idaho that doesn't get to interact with the real world. I don't watch TV. I don't do any of that. I don't even peruse YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I hear about time attack, and I'm like, okay. And then I kind of start to get an understanding of it. And it's like, wow, this sounds fun. Like that, grid life. Yeah. Yeah. Like I was looking at that for Laguna Seca in September, and I was like, wow, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one I'll be looking at. But, I did the SCCA time attack down there at Las Vegas in February.
Oh, nice.
And, I know you make that trip a lot, so there's that one to do as well. I had a great time because they run it on the outside road course. And
nice.
Yeah,
on
super fun.
The north side or the south side there.
Is it the south? I get turned around when I'm there, but yeah.
Right south of the oval track.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, on Las Vegas Boulevard, basically.
Super good time. Anyway.
Yeah. And what are you running?
I run a 2007 C6 Z06.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, incredible. Like when I drive my Blazer and I'll go between Apex and all 700 horsepower, but it's 5,000 pounds.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, but when you're in something basically half that weight and only 100 less horsepower, oh my gosh, the feeling between the pull and just. It's like a whole different world, which makes me want to drive things other than my freaking Blazer.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable.
You were speaking my language. So I drive Hondo, I drive a 4,000-pound Mustang. So I'm pretty close in the realm that you are. I'm not in the 5,000, still pretty heavy for autocrossing. And I wanted to know, what kind of consumables do you go through in your vehicle in terms of parts? What wears out faster than most?
Just because of the weight.
Yeah. Yeah, brake rotors.
Yeah.
And tires, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? You look at the tire world, it's, when we first got into it in 2019, it's like, oh, just everyone goes with the BFG. And then, now it's like you got this tire over here.
Got the Yokohamas, the
as long as it gets hot, the Vitour.
Yep.
And then the Yokohamas, which is kind of our go-to, but you chew them up quick.
Yeah.
But they're great off the shelf, out of the box, cold.
Right.
You don't have to heat them up. And then the Nankang, awesome tire. But we just started using the Hoosier as well.
A7s, or not the A7s,
No, the Track Attack.
Track Attack, right?
Yeah.
How do you like those?
They're amazing. It's twofold. So we built the truck on 18-inch.
Okay.
Started with Youngblood and then went to Forge Line. And then I went to Frankie and I said, I've had two. One was the Optima Finals where I broke a rim and the cone took a valve stem out. Actually.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had an LS Fest where I trashed a rim, getting a little squirrely. But so I went to Frankie and I said, I want to get a single front wheel and a tire and a single rear, just so I have spares, because when you drive 15 hours to go to an event and you're like, man, if I would have had that shit in the trailer,
Yeah.
You're going to use it at some point, so why not be prepared? And he's like, you know what you should do? And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, they finally started making good tires for 19-inch. Let's go to the 19-inch. And so we did that and put the Hoosier. We were running 315s on the yokes. Actually, we were running 335 squared on the yokes, and we went to a 325 on the Hoosier.
Okay.
And man, that, like, my first experience on those was LS Fest. And it was, I wasn't pushing. Brakes or grip was just solid, and yeah, pretty
Nice.
soaked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Do you have to run a pretty what kind of brake fluid do you use? Because I assume with it being so heavy, it heats up everything pretty well. So like, do you run like Motul 660 or something?
Yeah, that stuff seems to work, and we're running an ABS setup on it as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't think I did. But
what's it out of? Is it custom ABS or is it out of a different truck or car?
It's like a Bosch ABS setup.
Okay.
Frankie, like the guys, he's just such next level on all the shit that he does. He'd be a good guy to consider bringing on your show.
Yeah.
If you don't know Frankie, he was rolling around in like a gray Grand National Regal.
Oh, okay.
It was like 1,100 horsepower.
Oh wow.
It's if you go to Autotopia LA, do you ever watch that?
No. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, check that out. It's a pretty good. They started kind of right when COVID hit, but it's just a YouTube channel. You can go see. They did a Blazer episode, but you'll see Frankie's Grand National Regal.
Okay.
And he also, Duke's on there. Autotopia LA's this guy named Sean that he stores cars for a lot of high-end people, if you will. So he's connected in that LA scene of high-performance muscle, really.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, when you're looking for other interesting projects to, bring onto your show, that might be a good point to
look around. Good place to look.
Out to him. You bet.
Yeah.
So back to the Blazer build. I had a question also about suspension because it being so heavy. Did you guys have an evolution of what worked, what didn't work? How did you test out and figure out what was the best setup for you?
We started with what SpeedTech kind of spec'd, and in hindsight, they spec'd everything for a C10.
Okay.
And a C10 race truck. So they were spec'ing, 3,500 pounds, basically. And then we show up at 5,000. So we definitely were chasing spring rate for a long time. And we got connected and ended up going with Rytec and like some triple adjustables. And then we talking with Frankie.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, you need more. And so a guy named Guy Ankeny with Penske Racing, him and Frankie have become good buddies just from spending time at the track. And Guy is kind of a legendary guy in that world. And he came up to Frankie and he's like, dude, no one works as hard as you do. I'm out here all the time. You're running around chasing this shit all the time. He's like, I want to get to know you, right? Because it's an awesome thing. And so yeah, he sorted us with these new Penske Racing coilovers, and we went from like 450 and 650 springs to I think we're at 900 and 1100 now. Yeah,
some serious spring rates.
Yeah.
That's what I was curious about. Where you ended up?
Yeah. With your
we were the body roll that was happening.
Yeah.
Was massive.
Yeah.
But it seems to.
Well, with the body roll, do you not run a stiffer sway bar to accommodate for that?
They can only do so much.
Got the biggest shit that they make.
Yeah.
But it's like just so heavy.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
So heavy in the G's, that thing I don't know if you saw the video from LS Fest from like 3 years ago. Speed Tech has it on their
Oh, okay.
thing. It's got like over 1 million hits, but it's literally the car getting up on two wheels going through the slalom.
That's
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And just the pull. I mean, I get the front end off the ground a lot, just because it's got so much torque, so much grip, and it just pulls and goes.
Yeah. So you had mentioned you're using a BMW transmission in there?
No, that's in his new build.
Yeah, it's a DCT out of
a
X5M.
How do you mate that to your? It's an LS, so how do you mate that to? Is it a special adapter, or is that something somebody actually makes, or what?
You know, I should know the answer to that. Frankie, the guys, we're like, according to him, we're like the first, like, anything with a blower on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, there's guys like Ryan Breezy's running a badass 69 Camaro with a big LS motor, but, you know, no one's running big weight, big power. And he's like, it'll take it. And those things are rated like 800 horsepower. And
Sure.
it's been LSS last year. Everything was going pretty good. And then I'm like, hey, why don't you take it for a rip? You know, because I like him being such a builder side of it. I want to get his input.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like to drive the shit out of my stuff, but I don't like to drive the shit out of my stuff. And he launched this thing and his snapped a pinion.
Oh,
Really?
Right off. And I'm like, dude, I've never launched it like that. What the fuck are you doing, right?
yeah.
And
And that was snapping
so
the BMW transmission?
dragged it back to his shop because we had Laguna Seca coming up like the next weekend. And so he threw another rear end he had in, and first time out, snapped the pinion.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
What?
So then we had to go to Dutchman and chase it all, and then we ended up tuning first gear down to like 70%.
Oh.
So it just
So it
rolls.
rolled.
But yeah, you know, when you look at, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be driving a paddle shift in this car, I would be like, no way. I'm a fan of the manual.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why
But
would
when
I
you
do
look
that?
at,
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. But when you look at going into a corner, being able to keep your hands on the steering wheel and being able to shift in the corner,
Yeah.
right? And you got rev match, and you've got so much going on that you've now created a car that actually has high level of control.
How much delay is there in your shifting when you actually pull it, either up or down?
It's right there.
It is
It's
instantaneous.
like, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When it's tuned right, it took us a long time
Yeah.
to get it sorted. And like a little advice: don't ever do a full update the day of a race.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like that Optima, you have to have, you know, design and engineering is like 100 points, which is 20%. And if you don't have reverse lights, for example, you're getting dinged like 10 points.
Oh, man.
You know, and I won the Optima finals last year by 1 point. So it's like,
Wow.
you can't go in, you're doomed. And so I show up at Laguna and I don't have reverse lights. And I'm like, shit, Frankie. And so we got a remote tune guy dialed in, and he's like, well, it needs to be updated anyway, so I'll go ahead and update it. So he updates it. Oh, no. But it threw all this other shit out of whack. So I didn't have rev match. So for my first day and a half, I didn't have drivability like it should be.
Yeah.
You know, you downshift from third to second on a big, you know, 180 degree apex, and like you're like, okay, come on, catch. It's like this big delay waiting for the motor to actually, you know, drop RPMs enough for that shit to engage.
So it matches up. Yep. Rough.
Yeah.
Well, that's the life of race car, right? I mean, project car, tuning, it's all a big, it's a process.
Do you find with that paddle shifter, though, because it's fast as all hell, that eventually you'll be driving with it so much that it will need to be quicker changing? So the reason I say that is, so for example, my background is I'm used to driving supercars, and for example, the 30 when that came out, one of the first paddle shift cars. Shifts in 10th of a second, 100th of a second, and it was touted as amazing. However,
Right.
now compared to today's, it's really slow. You jump in, say, a 488, 458, brand new Ferrari, and it's there. It's where you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, the thing
Crazy.
about paddle shift is it feels like over time, when technology advances and when you get more used to it, it gets slower and slower. Is that something you can see with your Blazer, or you're gonna have to be changing that like every say 5 years or decade to keep up with your skills as well as the technology wise as well?
Right. I'm in my brain. I'm like, is it going to be just tune related?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Or can the equipment actually keep up with it
Mm-hmm.
with the tune? Yeah.
it's interesting when you look at just in the last 5 years. You know, when you look at the Optima series, right? You're bringing out some crazy levels of different performance. But when you look at what was pushing the envelope in 2020 versus now, it's like, wow.
So different. Yeah. Everybody has really gotten excited about it, honestly. And we see it even on local level. Just, you run your autocross season and everybody goes home for the winter and just goes, this is what I need to do for next year. And the upgrades just start happening.
Everyone comes the next season with
new stuff. Yeah. Everybody got a little faster. Their cars got a little better. And then we do it again the next winter. Everybody's like digging in the garage and they're upgrading and they're doing all this stuff. I'm just as guilty as the next guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do it between races.
It's an addiction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat that son of a bitch
That's
next
right.
year.
I am. I did not like the way that weekend went. I have to fix this, so.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
After
Jimmy.
I mean, to be able to play with cars, what a blessing. Right?
Oh, it's amazing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you do any local stuff too? Like, do you get to go out and just run autocross with your local group, or what's that for you?
I love that little group. It's at a little middle school, about an hour away.
Yeah.
But when you live where I live in the mountains, right, we're at 6,200 feet outside of Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh, okay. You're up there.
In a small little town. And our winters are long. So when you look at June, July, August, September, like for me to tell my family that I'm going to go do autocross when I'm down at Racing Birds or LSS or Optima Lagoon, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, can we go out and go to the lake or go float the river? Or, we end up doing a lot of that stuff. So
that's good too.
The problem is that little community that I'm talking about, when it gets to autocross season, it might be 95 degrees over there, but it's 82 here. So it's like to tell my family, like, all right, let's go sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go hang out in the heat.
But that's why that's why I'm trying to get like Racing Birds here in a week and a half. My 19-year-old daughter, my wife, they will be co-driving that little S2000.
There you go. That's how you do it. You get them addicted so that they want to go too.
Exactly.
Yes.
I know they will come out of that.
That's right.
They will just be like, kabam, let's do this.
Yeah. More racing in your future. So let's talk about LaidBack. So is that brand? Is it mostly apparel, or is that? I heard you reference a garage. So do you have a shop that goes with that, or what's this all about?
So my wife and I bought this resort T-shirt company back in 2002. Called High Range Designs. So we make T-shirts for every ski resort, rafting company.
Oh, wow.
When you go on vacation down to the Florida Keys or San Diego or whatever, it's that kind of vibe. And so we make artwork and T-shirts for that industry. And then, when you look at what we have to do all summer long and then trying to do it in the wintertime, it's always slow. So we're like, hey, let's launch a brand. We already have all this amazing artwork that we're making for, we were putting a Woody wagon on a shirt and having it say San Diego or whatever,
Yep.
And we were tired of kind of being slow in the winter. And I'm like, let's launch a brand. And as we sat and thought about it in Myrtle Beach at a trade show, driving around, looking for a place to eat, like immediately LaidBack just hit my brain. And we went and determined that no one had ever trademarked it. So we executed a trademark and launched a brand at SEMA, or really the Hot Rod Power Tour was the beginning of it in like 2010.
Nice.
And we then went to SEMA and then got a cease and desist letter from Ford.
Really?
And
Oh,
I'm like, we're not trying to break any rules. How do we become a licensee? And within a year, we had a license with Chevrolet and Ford and Dodge,
nice.
and just started a lifestyle brand. And
Was that difficult
part
to
of
get
that
the
is
license going through that process?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was it difficult getting licenses and going through that process?
It was.
Okay.
You know, in the Ford world, for example, there were only 10 companies allowed to legally print a Ford T-shirt.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. But our artwork is different, and our whole automobile vibe. You know, if you look at the car world, like the T-shirts are black, white, or gray. You know, where we're bringing in like blue jean and different colors and a much softer kind of program, and yeah, so that kind of became our deal.
Okay.
So that's your brand, your apparel, and that kind of stuff. And that carries you through the wintertime. Does it support your racing at all?
You know, it's amazing. I tell people, I'm like, if you can blend passion and work, you win.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
that's kind of what it's done for me
Fabulous.
and my family, really, because, you know, before I was always like, man, I'm a car kid from, you know, my dad and my mom were in the van club when I was a kid, right? So I was rolling around in a 70s van with, you know, the underwater murals all over the side of it.
Yeah.
The Thai Vantic is what it was called. But so I grew up going to car shows, living that life. But then you get out of school and you got no money, and you just start working. And then someday you realize you can get back into that game a little bit. So I just went and bought a 1950 Chevy sedan delivery. It was the first kind of like I saw it at an auction. I was like, I bought it, had it about a year, and then we started building our first build, which was a 49 Woody wagon.
Yeah.
All original patina.
Nice.
And then we put a 302 in it and Ford 9-inch and an AOD, and it's been to like 22 states now.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the beginning of us building stuff, really just building it for marketing.
Okay.
You know, I mean, most companies would just go out and pay someone a bunch of money to do it. And we're just like, hey, let's do it and let's tell the story along the way and try to create some sort of a program, you know?
So your garage, your shop is not really an open for public type of situation?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, you're just doing it for you. I love that. That's amazing.
It's pretty wild.
That's
awesome. It's really, focused on the marketing project and, maintaining these vehicles.
Wow.
And trying to spread love, really.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
if
that's
people
awesome.
can be more laid back in life, then it can, the whole world will be a better place.
Absolutely. How much time do you get to spend actually wrenching and working on stuff?
It's probably, after 22 years, you build a good team, and I've taken the motto in the past 10 years, like fire faster, hire slower.
Yeah.
So we've got a really
That's
good
a
team.
good motto.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got a really good team. So yeah,
So you just kind of step back and say, this is what I envision. And let them do it.
I'm a little more hands-on than that.
Okay.
Which, and it's my own fault because I like to, it's just a small company.
Yeah.
Right? We make a lot of t-shirts, but we're like 45 employee kind of program. So we're small, and it's nice, but there's a lot of things that they want my input on, when it comes to like, all right, do we need to do a price increase, or what colors are we going to carry in the catalog? And
I think hands-on is good. I think that's a good thing, you know?
I like it.
Yeah.
I really like it. You know, it's
For
like
sure.
I say, it doesn't feel like work. And now I got my daughter working with me, and today's like her second day and working in my office with me, which is
Cool.
freaking awesome.
That is so cool. Yeah, no, that's really neat. Well, I know after we met down at LS, we were actually pitted right next to each other. I went online and I ordered up some sweatshirts and a couple of signs for my studio. So I got the swag.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, LaidBackUSA.com is our website, and
There you go.
we got like 150 just awesome lifestyle t-shirts. And you know, the t-shirts that we use are the comfort colors, so they're big, they run, they fit right, they don't
Yep.
shrink,
Nice. I like
and they're
that.
just people's next favorite shirt. That's
Yeah,
our goal.
the sweatshirt is so nice. It's so comfortable.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We just, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, if you're lucky enough to wear a t-shirt every day, you want to have something that tells people what you're about, and that's what the brand's all about.
Yep.
I like that they don't shrink.
Right?
Yeah. What are they made out of? Are they cotton?
It's 100% ring spun cotton, but it's garment dyed. So it goes through like this boiling, heated process in the factory when they're dyeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so all the shrinkage happens there, right? Versus
Yeah.
it happening in your dryer.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
I do too, because I've got some swag before that I took home and then it immediately shrank. And I'm like,
Yeah.
now it doesn't fit.
Well, I wear a
Right.
2X, right? And you know, I buy shirts probably every 2-3 months. You know, just a few.
Yeah.
And I find that, you know, after 4 or 5 months of wearing them, this is a goddamn belly shirt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
ooh, that's not
shrinking.
supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
I would say 50% of the time, though, Jeremy, it's also diet.
Yeah, well, I haven't gained a pound in years. So
The shirts don't fit anymore.
shirts
so
keep
weird.
shrinking.
They shrink.
At 245 pounds for the last 3 years, the shirts keep shrinking. My
Hold
wife
steady.
can tell me it's not
Well,
true.
it's funny. I was back in my dad. He's 80, and he moved into like this kind of environment where he doesn't have to mow the yard, kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
he had all this. He condensed all of his shit and got rid of a lot of shit. And he's like, "I got this box. You want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course," because I'm a hoarder of old stuff. And I pull out, there's like 6 T-shirts in there from all these Van Ams from the 70s.
Oh, I
right?
love
Oh,
it.
cool.
Yeah, right. And, you know, my dad was probably 100, 5'11", 6 foot, 175, 180 pounds. And these things look like they wouldn't even fit my 15-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
So thin, so funny. But you look at the T-shirt world, like, I mean, it's like a $100 billion industry.
Wow.
Right? When you look at that. And
Wow.
it's funny how many people can't do it right.
Yeah. It's great. Well, it seems like a pretty tough business as well because there are so many vendors out there, you know? So,
Right.
so staying in business, let alone breaking into it, seems like a super difficult task. You know, you got to be on top
It's
of
not
it.
as easy as you would think, but it's
Yeah.
getting easier because of technology and all
Oh,
that. But,
nice. Yeah.
You know, we do custom stuff too. You know, we do a lot of stuff for friends in the automotive industry. So if you need something for your brand or whatever, don't hesitate reaching out. You know,
Yeah, we might have to hit you up because
Definitely have
I'm
to.
just using a basic online printer to get our stuff done. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
are they printing it on demand, like per
Yeah.
order, or are you ordering like 60 of them?
No, it's just on demand.
Yeah.
We started getting shirts for us, but also now we had friends and we've had fans reach out to us say that
Yeah.
they want apparel as well.
Yep.
So,
Is that
And
company
one
out of
contest
Wisconsin?
winner.
You know, I don't recall.
I don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing like on demand, like where, you know, you got 5 shirts on your website, but you don't stock anything,
Yep.
but orders come in, I'll hook you up with Redwall up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And they have a whole platform on that.
awesome.
It's DTG, so it's not screen printing. It's printing like this big, like probably $800,000 piece of equipment.
Uh-huh.
We'll just do one 5-color or 10-color design on a shirt, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, Hondo, I was going to ask, what kind of future builds do you have planned going for right now? In terms of the
Besides the C5 Blazer?
yeah.
Sure. I've got one that I'm excited about is a 1990 300ZX.
Ooh, that's
It's,
exciting.
Yeah, I bought it for like $3,500 out of Salt Lake City, and the guy basically traded a motorcycle for it and then pulled the LS that was in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you're familiar
Had
with
an LS in
LOJ conversions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had him on the show.
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
episode
really? Yeah,
30, I
Steven,
think.
he's a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I raced against him at Optima a couple years in his Frontier, that crazy Frontier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The crazy Frontier.
1,200 horsepower all-wheel
Yeah,
drive.
thing's awesome.
Yeah.
Twin turbo.
Yep.
Freaking sick. And so, yeah, I get this car home. And when I bought it, I'm like $3,500, and it comes with all this LOJ shit. I'm like, you're basically paying me to come get this thing,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like one of those cars that I'm like, someday I will LS swap a 300ZX.
Nice.
And I had just bought a twin turbo version of the same car,
Okay.
like literally a month before, 1990, which is like the best year. It doesn't have all the airbag shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this twin turbo gray version, and then all of a sudden this other one kind of falls into my lap like a month later. And so I go out on Auto Trader just kind of poking around. I couldn't find another gray one to save my life.
I'll be darned.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this shit was meant to be. So, yeah, so we had Thayer. I bought his old Z06 motor, and we're dropping that thing in there. And it's right now, it just needs plumbing, and we're getting close to firing that thing up. So super excited.
That'll be amazing.
That'll be a really fun
That'd be
car.
a track monster.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's really
And,
cool.
we just got done with a 73 240Z.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was a nice low mileage, been sitting, and the guy would just throw a new tarp on it every year kind of thing. Over in Jackson, it's an avocado metallic green with like the butterscotch interior.
Oh, wow.
What engine does that have in that one?
This is straight six, 2.4 liter.
Okay. I didn't know if it had that or had the straight six turbo in it.
Yeah, so we ended up just putting a rebuilt motor in it, put a bigger cam in it, and put some coilovers on it, and then it's like 2 weeks away from going to get the interior done at Interior Revolution. And I'm like, I just want this thing to look like Lexus put a interior in it back in the day. You know?
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
So those old Datsuns, they're just, if you've ever driven one or owned one, like, they're just so fun. You know, there's no power steering. The gearbox is like butter, and you can like shift it with one finger kind of thing, you know. And
that's awesome.
And they're reliable. And my dad had one when I was like 12, and fell in love with just the smell of the interior, you know.
A little nostalgia for you.
Yeah. Is that going to be like a daily driver for you think, or a show car? Or what do you think that one's going to be more for use for?
You know, I've got two other daily drivers. I got two 78 280Zs that are kind of what my wife and I will get one, my daughter and her boyfriend will get another one, and we just can cruise the mountains and go have lunch or whatever. But
that's cool.
This one's going to be probably, I'm working on a project, like a little laid-back museum.
Okay.
It's kind of one of my goals in the next few years is to have a spot. You know, we're in this like tourist town, the Yellowstone Loop, right? From Yellowstone to Jackson Hole, and it's like this big loop, and we're right on it. So it's like I've been hoarding shit for 20 years of just old cool stuff, like bicycles and anything that would entertain you, you know, from the 60s, 50s, 70s, 80s. And I just want to create an environment where, you know, like the Laid Back Museum, it's all this shit other museums didn't want.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then we're going to have, you know, food trucks and and the garage right there, and try to sell some apparel and promote the brand and just have some fun,
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that idea.
Yeah. I like
so
the
that'd
product.
be a cool.
Yeah.
We'll probably sit in a place like that and just, I don't know. I like looking at them and driving them.
You bet. Yeah. I think that's important too. Your garage full of projects that you've worked on over the years should be drivable.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we all have the same problem. We have the projects that are not yet drivable.
Right.
Cool.
But, when you look at collectability, like I mentioned, I'm kind of a hoarder. So it's like, some people play the stock market. I'd rather put $3,000 in an old Blazer and have it just sit in the field.
Yeah.
And
be like, I'll get to it. I know it's there.
Yeah.
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 I'm with you. You're a typical car guy, just like the rest of us.
Like
Right?
Rust Valley Restorers.
Yeah. Maybe not that bad. Yep.
At the end of it, we're all part of a preservation society.
There you go.
True.
Oh,
Amen to that.
see? Yeah. That's if we just call it that, it makes it. It does. It sounds way better.
Maybe
Sounds
we
a
should.
little more like credible than just.
There you
cars,
go.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should have T-shirts made. With
Preservation. I like
like
that.
that.
Yep. Preservation
We've got
Society.
it on one of our.
Do
Untitled
you?
car
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look for
Our
that.
website, LaidBackUSA.com.
The Preservation Society. Yeah. Much more credible. Yep.
Right.
You got to put our logo on it with you, though.
Totally. You're welcome to use it.
Nice. All right. Well, let's boil it down to our last three questions of the day, and these are extremely important.
Very important.
Very, very important. What three automobiles? No, not automobiles.
Vehicles.
Vehicles. Got to be specific here. What three vehicles would you really like to drive someday?
Man, you guys, when you sent that over, I was like, wow, that's a tough list.
It's a big, right? Yeah, and it's vehicles. Doesn't have to be cars.
Right.
Airplanes, boats,
Tanks.
I think a Lexus LFA.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
one of those cars that a lot of people don't even know it exists because they didn't make them very long.
Right.
But they're like,
It's a beast.
$700,000 vehicle.
Yeah, they're almost $1 million car right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's now. Didn't they lose money on those?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
they were not that expensive when they came out.
Right.
sold them, I think, originally for, I want to say, $300 to $500.
1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were that.
I didn't
much.
think they were that much.
I know the bottom of it was about that, and then they started creeping back up again.
They it is a V10.
Yeah.
That car is badass, and I think I heard they were coming back out with them next year or this
They
year.
are.
Oh.
Are they?
I heard that too.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a limited run, but yeah, they're coming back.
That's pretty
Interesting.
sick. All right, that is a great choice. Nobody's named that one yet.
I got to know, Hondo, do you think, because of that, do you think the LFA is the best sounding car on this planet, or do you think it's close? Did you disconnect? Hang on one second. We disconnected you from
We
Bluetooth.
did.
Hang on.
Unfortunately,
Oh, okay, we got you back.
other people walk through and they're like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Man, I just hear music all day."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of sound, like if you haven't heard or tried the Vibrant exhaust, it's a Canadian company.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Their shit, like we did that Autotopia and we just put Vibrant on it, and then we go to SEMA. And we're hanging out in the Vibrant booth, like kind of like, hey, want to get some love a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's like, "You look familiar." My marketing guy is like, "Well, you might have seen him on the Auto. Oh, that's what it is." He's like, "Our phones were blowing up."
Oh,
that's
awesome.
Because people said, "I want my truck to sound like that."
So it's a good Vibrant's a good V8 exhaust then?
Yeah. They're a Canadian company.
Okay.
Check them out.
Yeah.
We threw our shit was so loud. We go to like the Corvette Museum track, and it's like a 108, and we were blowing like a 112.
Oh.
But we're side exhaust too, right? So we're aimed right at. But now I've got two resonators. We had MagnaFlow before, but now I've got Vibrant, 2 mufflers and 2 resonators, and I'm still loud as shit. But at least I don't piss neighborhoods off.
Blow sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, have to look into that.
So we got the LFA. So we got 2 more left.
I think a first gen Camaro that is on a Speed Tech chassis.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm building one right now.
Ooh.
What was the first gen?
First gen was
crazy,
67, 68,
funky-
and 69.
69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing's crazy, like patina and just like an eyesore kind of a vehicle.
Love it.
Yeah, I like that.
Like a rat rod kind of looking thing?
Yeah, it's like red and yellow and like, flesh colored Bondo.
A car that just looks terrible but
Like-
runs so hard.
Like Joe Dirte's
Yeah.
car.
Dirt tank.
Dude, and like they welded with lead,
Yeah.
like, it's but it's my good old boy Lon, rest in peace Lon. He passed away from COVID, but he was the salvage guy that I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah.
I got cool video of him. We rolled it out of the shipping container, and it's got a bunch of Speed Tech tucked up under it. We're putting an IRS under it.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna be a pretty sick vehicle. But
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
What engine's
my
going to go
main
into
builder
it?
Jesse's been kind of buried in his own world, so it hasn't had a lot of progress like we'd like it to.
Yeah.
It's not in my shop here. It's about an hour away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got a planned motor for that?
Yeah, LSX. It's,
Okay.
trying to keep it NA.
Mhm.
Yes.
And just,
I love
you
that.
know,
Yeah.
What's an
building
LSX?
reliable.
newest one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just reliable and fun. And like I say, I want to be able to just, as much fun as I get to have, I want my wife and my kids having that same amount of fun.
Yep. Smart man. Smart man.
Mhm.
All right. Number 3 that you would really like to drive someday.
I would say my buddy, his Porsche GT3 RS.
Nice.
That's a pretty good call. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like that atomic blue and
Oh, nice.
carbon everything and
Oh.
one lug. And yeah, definitely would love to drive one of those someday.
Yeah.
But I know I don't want to go down that path because they're just not this, like you take a Corvette and you can go and have anybody help you get it sorted.
Well, that's why on that list, it's somebody else's car. You just want to drive it. You don't want to own it.
Yeah.
You just want to drive it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the next list is 3 cars, if money's no object, that you would like to own.
What would be in the garage?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely an LFA.
Yep.
Okay.
LC500, are you familiar with those?
LT 500.
LC.
LC?
The Lexus
Oh, yeah.
LC500.
Yes.
Jeremy's.
I am. So I looked at one of those at the International Auto Show a couple of years ago. When you pop the
Nice.
the hood in the front, the strut towers are completely reinforced. It looks like there's louvers on it, and they really strengthen them up so that thing's got some stout,
Yeah.
stiff. It's
Yeah.
stiff.
They're heavy, but they're like, if you think of what the CTSV is in the Chevrolet world,
Yep.
It's a 5-liter, right?
yes, big V8.
Yep.
Essentially, it's a
Yeah.
muscle car, essentially.
It's sexy too. Like
It's
a
super
good-looking
sexy. I mean,
car.
Yeah, my dad, who's 80, he's just a car guy. He's had vets and always has one car that's his whatever. And he was like, I'm going to buy something. I'm either going to get the Infinity, like 2-door coupe, or I'm going to get the Lexus RC coupe, or I can spend like 30 more grand and get this LC 500. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Dad, here's the deal. Someday you're going to be sitting up in heaven looking down, and wouldn't you rather see me driving the shit out of your Lexus?
So my wife has the RC 350 F Sport.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice car. It's a little underpowered, but what I really like about it I think it's only got like 350 or just over 350 horse. What I really liked about that car is it is very forgiving.
Sure.
Very forgiving. It's all-wheel drive. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, the technology they put in them is crazy.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, definitely. My dad has that car, so I know someday, like, he's going to be too old to drive it, and my sister has no business with a car like that.
Well, there you go. Yeah. All right. Last one.
Last one, I would say GTR.
Which kind? There's many GTRs.
There are.
What year?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because I just bought one.
Oh, you really?
I haven't told anybody yet. So
big news on the Untitled Car Project.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if you know who Bob Sobey is.
Mm-mm.
I recognize the name. I don't know him.
So every year at Optima, you have the Outlaw class, which is what Duke runs in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have everybody else. And for the last 3 years in a row, Bob Sobey Performance out of Arizona has won the finals.
That's why I recognize the name. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that red GTR, red wheels with the dogs on the back.
Yeah.
Like the wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him at Laguna Seca, and the Optima finals are at Spring Mountain. He's like, "So how do I get on Spring Mountain with you?" And I'm like, "Well, let's just go." And he's like, "You need a GTR." And I'm like, "I would love a GTR." And he's like, "Well, I got one that you need." And I'm like, well, my first question is like, "What color is it?" And he says gray, and then I was like, "Shit."
Yeah. I'm in. Oh, dang.
Oh.
Right? And I was like, "Shit." And so
Ellen broke again.
He's like, I built this car for a guy, and basically bought it back from him for like 50 cents on the dollar, or what that guy spent to build it.
Yeah.
And it's like 1,200 horsepower.
It scared the shit out of him then.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
It was manageable from the steering wheel, right? You can take it to 600 or 1,200 or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And, so, that crazy wife of mine. So that's new to the stable. I haven't physically seen it other than pictures, but... when you have a friend that tells you that you're stupid if you don't take this investment, and
well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
It's Bob is a legendary guy just in his own world of racing, and then for him to be the guy behind building it, I'm just super excited to see what it's all about. And
that's cool.
Random question. Does that car have a name, or are you going to give it a name? Because I feel like that sounds like a really special car to give something a name.
The GTR?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's great.
I can't name it until I get my hands on it, of course. But
yeah.
I'm a couple months away from that being a reality. But
it is a Godzilla.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, to say the least. But if I could bring it into like an Optima and compete in something other than a Blazer, it will be definitely a goal of mine.
That's cool. Yeah, that's super exciting.
And it's all-wheel drive. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Wow.
I mean, like exotic racing. They're in Vegas. You can go spend $350 and get 5 laps or whatever. I did that in a GTR, just a stock one, and I was like, wow, this is nice.
Huh.
And it's been one of those cars on my list for a long time. And
nice.
And
do you think Nissan will ever top that car? They've talked about the R36.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Just from stuff that I've read recently, I think they will.
I think so too. It sounds like their new leadership or whoever is kind of leading is heavy into sports cars.
Heavy into supercars. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I read too, is he's all about it. His daily is a 400Z,
Oh, wow.
Nice.
and yeah, he wants to bring it back. So
I'm just trying to think how you.
I know there's rumors of a Skyline coming back.
yep,
Oh man.
yep.
I mean, how do you think if they bring it back, is it going to be a V6, or you think they're going to go back to the roots and make it a straight
No, I don't think so.
6? No.
I have a feeling it'll either be a V6 or a V8.
I heard rumors the hydrogen platform possibly too.
That'd be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
You know.
Yeah. Huh. Wow, that's really cool. Well, congratulations on, a car that you've always wanted and that kind of thing. I mean, I think that's
thank you.
anytime you can live your dream.
Badass purchase.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Super awesome. So
It's,
last
you know,
one,
when
and
you're-
this is probably the hardest
The
question.
hardest question.
The hardest.
It is hard.
Yes. It's the hard no. What car is a hard no?
Here's the keys, and you're like, I can't. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it might offend some people.
No, that's okay. That's right. That's quite all right.
I'd love to say we care about their feelings, but
I would say any Dodge other than their 70s vans and their muscle cars.
And
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
So
wild. But okay.
No Dodge Neon for you?
does that include the
No.
Viper in that list then, or not?
I don't know.
You know,
That's a muscle
yes,
car.
because I got out of one of those damn things one time at like muscle cars with the strip and burnt my leg on the exhaust. and
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
this is stupid,
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Love that
Stupid.
leg burner.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, they're cool, but I'm not a fan of the Batmobile. I didn't watch that shit. You know, Dukes of Hazzard. Even though that was a Charger, my dad had a '68 black Charger that got stolen out of the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't have it today. Still, he's not me. He's not the kind of guy that just likes to keep shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Well,
So we got no SRT8 Magnum for you in your future then at all.
guess not.
Yeah.
Now,
I
are you,
got some Dodge guys. Sorry, Nick.
are you opposed to the V10 from a Dodge being in an old truck?
Ooh, that is a question because of Rob's situation.
Yeah.
Rob, you want to explain to him?
When you look at Dodge and you look at strengths,
Mm-hmm.
I believe you can pull the heart out of something and put it in something else. Like
There you go.
Okay.
we have two Chevys, right? We have a 47 GMC, like 2.5 ton cab over
Mhm.
that we built into a hauler
Nice.
that we put a 5.9 Cummins in it.
There you go.
All right.
And
Yeah. Got to have
a
something.
Dodge rear end.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's freaking badass. It's got a like 1 ton Chevy front end, like I don't remember the years, like 87, whatever. You can just unbolt the whole freaking front end, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just slap it under. So we put that, and we drove that on the power tour for probably 3 or 4 years with an old Woody wagon on the back, and
Wow.
that 5.9 Cummins, oof. And then we did, probably sacrilegious in a lot of ways to do that. But then we took a 71 GMC Suburban ambulance
Oh.
Ooh.
that is incredible. It was in a mine in like California, Nevada. For
Interesting.
like ever. So it never saw the sun, right? So
Oh, wow.
the patina on it's just incredible. The only spot that the paint's missing is where the guy sat every day
Oh,
on the
man.
hood.
Wow.
The hood's literally missing like this big like half circle of where you could see where the dude just jumped up there every day.
Huh.
That's funny.
So we put a 5.9 in that, and
See, that's a good
it's
motor.
Mm-hmm.
it's just so bomber, and one wire basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So you keep rattling off cars. How many cars do you have in your collection?
I was afraid you guys were gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I really underestimated your level of car collection.
Shit.
2 warehouses, 3 warehouses.
Yeah. Yeah. Boil it down.
I feel like he's got more cars than I have guns.
I'm probably pushing 80.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow. We have not even
think I've
scratched the
got,
surface.
I think we're up to like 22 Blazers.
Holy smokes!
9 first gens, and like I say, I mean that Blazer's the number one vehicle of all time. I mean, come on, you got a V8, you got 2 doors, you got a back seat, you got a tailgate, and the top comes off.
That's amazing. That's
Right.
absolutely.
And
How many of those are you selling?
0.
Oh,
They're all going to the museum, Rob.
yeah,
I'm a hoarder.
guess so.
I'm a
Guess
hoarder.
so.
I like, you know, I'll build them all.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one of these days I'm going to turn my shop into like more than just like part-time, if you will, and actually pursue, you know, you look at like what Hogan does, Hogan built, you guys know those guys?
I don't.
Hogan built out of, I think they're Lake Havasu or Phoenix.
Okay.
Dude, go look at their Blazers. They're like the Blazers that you see going through Barrett for like $400,000.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh!
wow.
Yeah.
Just like mint.
They're sick.
Yeah.
They're done right. But I don't know. I look at the future, and you look at the 60s and the 70s and now even the 80s, and you look at the quality of body lines and steel and the analog kind of just world that's there, and then you look at the resto mod world and how far it's come. You know, you look at the LS, right? I mean, how many, you know, when I first started doing the hot rod power tour, like 2010, like they were almost making fun of you if you showed up with an LS, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally like, why'd you do that? When you're dealing with a 60-year-old dude that only knows carburetors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But then once you drive a vehicle that has an LS swap in it, you're like, what the frick am I doing? Why would I even?
Why would you do anything else?
So I look at all these just vehicles that I look at that I like. And I mean, I'm in Idaho, right? So I'm in small town Idaho. So, you know, you see shit that comes across Facebook or bring a trailer and you're like, no one's bidding on that. It's in the middle of Sheridan, Wyoming, you know? And so you find stuff that you can get for a good price. And it's like someday people are going to want to have an old car that's got new stuff in it.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything unless you have the old car to start with. So it's like, I'd much rather put my money in that than the stock market any day.
I got to start looking up there for a 2-wheel drive Blazer.
There you go.
Yeah.
You might know a guy that
when
can
you're
help
ready,
you out.
because I've slowed down my acquisitions. Well, at least I told myself that.
Right.
Like a week, like in 1 week, I'll be like, bam, 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 3 in a row or something. You know, it's just stupid. Stupid, but what do you do? Like, you know, I wasn't looking for a Nissan. I mean, yeah, I wanted one, but I just found one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
and then to find one that you can't pass up, and then of course you push everything else aside because now you're excited about this
Yeah.
Japanese turd, you know, needs body work and paint and whatever, but you're excited just because the feeling on the inside when you drive that thing. Like there's nothing better.
Yep.
I agree. It's definitely, sometimes it's tough where you got to hold back and not buy.
Yeah.
Like we have a whole segment on our show typically where we show Facebook Marketplace builds that all of us want, but we're like, we'll let our listeners go for it because our garages are full now.
I know.
Right?
I am addicted to looking at the car ads.
Yeah.
I find something every day that I'm like, I could buy that one. That one looks good. That's another project that I don't need.
Right.
I've got projects in my garage already stacked up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of living where I live, right? You don't, like, I got a half acre across from our shop and it's just full of cars. And,
Nice.
you know, at one point they're like, you need to put a fence up. And I'm like, I did my fence plan and then COVID hit. And I'm like, you know what? That's stupid.
Yeah.
You know what you
It's
should
like,
do?
This is artwork. People drive very slowly by this yard.
Yeah.
You know what you should do is
is-
just line the cars up in a row. Like a
Say that's the fence.
Yeah. That is the fence. Yeah. I like
That
it.
makes sense.
Bumper to bumper. I built a fence
There you go.
out of my cars.
You asked
It's
for it.
bumper to bumper fortified.
Yeah. I like it.
Funny. Well, I mean, if they tell me anything, I'm just going to turn into a car lot.
There you go. Put for sale signs up.
Yeah.
I just got to sell 5 cars a year. That's easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's funny.
Hondo, man, I really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic getting to know you and talking again and learning about your background. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll have you back on to talk about your other 70 cars.
No doubt.
Yeah, anytime. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
hopefully,
sharing this passion.
hopefully I get to run into you again at another event down the road.
Yeah, if you guys are ever near Victor, Idaho, we're like
I'll be looking you up.
southeast corner. Definitely look us up. Come by and definitely, if you want a little care package, hit me up and send me some T-shirt sizes and a ship to address, and I'll get a little care package going out and get some
awesome.
Thank you.
couple banners. We make some really cool banners that you can hang in the shop with just old shit on it.
Oh gosh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'll shoot that over to you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll hit you up too. I know Grant, he likes a road trip. We make a special trip out there.
Yay.
Check out your collection.
I'll be down for that.
We do a fun car show. Our little town's like 2,500 people, and we take over City Park August 9th this year. We'll have like 100 cars, and then we do a cruise up to the ski resort, up this amazing road right in front of the Tetons. And,
Nice.
if you don't know what the Tetons are, like when Rocky was running through the snow when he was in Russia,
Yeah,
right? Those
That's
are
where
the
he was.
Tetons behind him.
yeah. That's awesome. I've been out to Jackson Hole. It's
Oh, nice.
absolutely gorgeous out there. I love it.
Did you drive in?
Yes, I did.
So you came in through Idaho?
Yep.
Or did you come in through Yellowstone?
Came in through Idaho. Yeah.
So you went over Teton Pass then?
Yeah.
So that most likely that's how you went, right up and over a 10,000-foot mountain.
Likely. It's been several years since I've been out there, but yeah.
The last town you would have hit before going up and over that mountain pass is our little town of Victor, but you blink, you miss it,
Gotcha. Oh, that's so cool. Well, shout out your brand one more time.
Yeah, it's LaidBack apparel. You can find us on Instagram, of course, and Facebook, and then we are LaidBackUSA.com. We got a bunch of, from old Chevelle and Corvette shirts to, lifestyle, like fly fishing, and it's all about LaidBack's all about where you want to be, right? So we just take kind of that old school vintage program and put it on the best T-shirt we can, and try to have fun and live life.
Yeah, for sure. I highly recommend everybody check it out. I love the sweatshirts that I got. They are super comfortable. Well worth it. So
Thank you.
you bet. You bet.
Nice chat with you
It's
guys.
nice.
Thanks, man.
nice.
Appreciate your time.
You too. Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sweet.
All
That
right,
was fun.
you guys heard it here.
Yes.
Dodge Viper is a pile of shit, and it's okay to take the motor out of
Yeah.
it and scrap the body.
Yep. It's okay to repurpose the heart.
Hell
We're
yeah.
going to see a lot more motors
Transplant.
for sale soon.
No. Viper people are diehard, man. The only reason I got this one is because the guy got a bigger one for his Viper.
Oh yeah, everybody's crying right now. Why would you do that?
Why would you say that?
August 9th. We'll have to look into our schedules and see if Untitled Project can make it out there.
Yeah, actually, I'd really like to do that. It's gorgeous out there. What a beautiful piece of country.
Perfect time of year too.
Oh yeah, really.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be as sweltering hot as it is everywhere else.
Yeah.
But super cool. Guys, that was a great show.
It was a good show.
Thanks for being here. Again, everybody check out our Facebook and Instagram, Untitled Car Project. Shoot us an email at untitledcarproject@gmail.com.
Yay.
Hit follow.
Give us a 5-star rating and like the thumb button.
Like the things and share the things. Share it with your friends, please. And, check out LaidBack Apparel USA.
Yes.
Really great stuff. And thanks again for Hondo coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys later.